I'm sorry to interrupt, but I can't hear you.
No sound? Okay, hold on 1 second.
We can hear you now. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So the whole time you didn't hear me? You guys can hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Perfect. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I love interactions. One of the things to note is I know we have various levels of experience. So one of the things that I want us to really kind of internalize is as we go through those 5 things you need to know today. One of the things you'll know is some things will be reminders to some. Some things will be aha moments to some because there are quite a few new resources. But we're going to dive in and we're going to start with one of our SOS strategies to get us started to think about our levels of learning and where we are, just like in our classrooms. So, what I'd like us to do, I'd like you to help me out a little bit. So, thinking about your level of understanding when it comes to discovery, I'd like you to think about who are you? So, compare yourself to what you see on the screen. Where are you currently about using discovery education? So when you take a look at the picture here with them playing volleyball, you'll notice that there's a picture. There are a lot of things going on. So for example, if I'm new to discovery, I might be connect with a cloud. I'm in the clouds. I really don't know. I'm new to this, or I might be player number 8. I know a little bit, but what do I do with it next? Or I might be player number 18. Like, I know I'm in it, I've used it this way. So I want you to take 1 minute and just think about where are you when it comes to your level of knowledge and using discovery. And what you can do is go ahead and just drop it in the chat, or you can come off mute.
Can everybody hear?
I see someone said that they're in the clouds. Okay. Someone else said they're in the clouds. Can everybody hear me? And you can just drop a yes. Oh, someone said I'm a shoe. I'm shuffling. Perfect, perfect.
Some people can.
Okay. So we have a lot of in the clouds. I'll say, okay, so great. All right. So this session is perfect for you then. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. So no matter where you are, so even if you're in the clouds, no worry. After today, you will have you'll feel a little bit better about the discovery resources that are there, and you'll feel prepared to be able to use them to jumpstart your classroom this school year. So as we go in, I want us to just kind of really make a connection. So what we just used is one of what we like to call our spotlight on strategies. Discovery has quite a few strategies that we use to help engage students. For this particular activity, we used an image. And for other activities, you might use a video, you might use a reading passage. It just depends. However, no matter where you are, there are resources that you can use, and this particular strategy is one. So, one of the things that I did want to share with you all too is as we think about, and you guys got a chance to share in the chat where you guys were. Many people said that they were in the clouds. Our goal for today is basically to find instructional resources to help support your learning goals and your instructional goals. So we're going to dive right in. And I do have a quick question for my participants, just to make sure everybody has an account. Do we all have a discovery account? And if so, have we logged into our discovery accounts before? You can say yes or no in the chat or come off mute. So let's see. Some of us said not sure if we have our accounts, not sure. Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do, yes, the Discovery account is in Clever. Okay. So your Discovery accounts, the way you do access your Discovery accounts is in Clever. So what I'd like you to do is I'm going to ask, just as we get started, if you could log into your Clever accounts, because I'm going to give time also as I share information for you guys to play around with the information. However, as I'm going to give you this particular minute to check in, to log into your Discovery accounts, please let me know at any time if you don't have access. And we're going to make sure, even if you don't have your own account today, I'm going to give you a demo account so we can kind of move along and you can kind of play around with resources. Great, great, great. So what I'd like you to do, once you log into your Discovery account, you can just go to your homepage and just log in. I just want you to say yes in the chat. Great. I got one yes. I need my yeses to go ahead and come on in. We want to make sure everyone can interact. Perfect. And my apologies as people are logging in. I didn't get a chance to introduce myself. I'm Janine Blunt. I have worked with Discovery Education for more than 8 years now. I was a classroom teacher, of course, beforehand. I started off teaching kindergarten. I taught first grade and second grade. I also have taught pre-K 3 and pre-K 4. I've worked with curriculum on the early childhood level, and then also I've done work with social studies and science teachers on the middle school level. So I have kind of a span. But I use Discovery a little bit as a classroom teacher as well. And so it's one of those things that I love the resources and I love sharing the resources. So I'm super excited about you all walking away with nuggets to use in your classroom this year. So great. I see quite a few yeses. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to move us on. So we'll all be able to grab our nuggets and run with those. All right. So moving us right along. So our agenda for our time together is one, your essential companion. We're going to talk about where to start. We're going to talk about building our knowledge. We're going to use another SOS strategy called Pin It. Then we're going to apply our learning. So we're going to do a small group share. And then we're going to talk about strategies and variations and connections. So one of the things that I do want us to really focus on as we go throughout the session, and even as we get started, think about your classroom. So keep your classroom in mind, even if you're a new teacher, think about, what do I want my new classroom to look like? If you're a teacher and you've been teaching for years, think about your classroom and the things you know that happen at the beginning of the school year. Think about the units you teach, but I want us to really kind of walk away with some nuggets that we can use right away. All right. So your essential companion. So as we go through, like I said, I want you to think about your classroom, but think about what are my instructional goals? So going into this year, what are my instructional goals? And then think about where can I find support for my goals? So Discovery Education has plenty of resources, similar to our guest speaker when they were sharing about resources that we can use in the classroom to help get our students connected, to help make sure our lessons are interactive. Think about those lessons that we're going to teach and always know that you can go to Discovery to find curated resources that will help you to basically bring that lesson to the next level. And we're going to look at some of those. Then plan a lesson. Which tools will you use? Which resources will you use? And content to connect you with the curriculum. Okay. So we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you where you're going to be able to start to find those items. All right. Some essential things to note before I dive in and show you a few things is number one, you can personalize your Discovery page. So you can personalize your items with Discovery. Number two, you can find resources and you can save them. You can put them in your favorites, and you can share resources. Number three, you can share and assign content to your students. Number four, you can engage students with SOS strategies, just like we used an image to engage about our learning levels. And then number five, the resources that you'll find will help to enhance your teaching. And we have a lot of ready-to-use teaching resources. All right, so we're going to use another strategy called Pin It. So I am going to go live to site, so live to the discovery page, and I'm going to share a few things. But I want you to think in terms of Pin It. So I want you to record your takeaways on a piece of paper. It could be on another screen on your computer. But I want you, as I go through, to write down any questions that you may have. I also want you to write down one idea about DE that you find useful, and then one new fact. So it might be something new that you didn't know. So remember this, I'm going to put the Pin It back up, but as I go in and share and as you explore, we're going to use Pin It to think about questions we might have, any one new idea we might have, and one new fact that we might have learned. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a second and I am going to move us live to site. So I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second. And now I'm going to share with you guys my Discovery site. So when you guys logged into Discovery, one of the things that you did note that I feel like every year we do a good job of trying to make sure that we're giving more based upon what teachers ask for. And that's one of the reasons why I love Discovery Resources, because they listen to our feedback as the teacher. So just give me a yes in the chat that you can see my Discovery site, or you can just say, yep, we can see your screen with Discovery. Perfect. Okay. So everybody can see my Discovery page. When you first logged in, one of the things that you noticed is it asked you quite a few questions. It asked you about your content area that you teach. It asked you about the grade band. It just asked some different questions, basically to help personalize your experience so that everything that you see on your homepage is basically resources that you can use. So a few things that I want to walk you through as we take a look at the homepage. Here are a few things to know. So from your Discovery homepage, at the very top, you're going to see what I like to call the waffle. I used to call it the hamburger, but that waffle or that hamburger, what it does is it basically gives you a menu of options, okay? So you have your My Content, you have assignments, classrooms, educator supports, then you have different experiences, explore curriculum aligned resources, state standard resources, instructional strategy center, which we'll talk about, your career hub, other tools like Studio, Quiz, Assessment Builder, and then you see some of the AI assess tool that we have, which is new. And then you see the curriculum packs that you all have available within your school district. This is just basically the resources that you all have access to that you all can use. You can come to at any time. The other thing is you see the Discovery icon. That'll always take you back to the homepage. Then you'll see, like right now, and let me go back to my homepage. I was doing a little bit of a search before. So I'm gonna click on the D and it'll take me to the homepage. I was doing a little search before we logged in. Few other things to note. You see the traditional search box that has the magnifying glass where you can type in any topics that you're working on. You'll see a heart, and right now my heart has 0. Basically, that means I don't have anything that I added to like my quick list, what I like to call it. And then you'll see a little dog icon. So our little friend right there, basically I'm in a demo lesson, but if it's your account, it'll show your name. You can view your profile. You can sign out here as well. So if I have anything in my favorites, which that little heart is, that'll also appear here in this particular area. So a few things to know about your homepage. You'll see your name. It says right now, welcome teacher demo, which is me. But a few things to know, you'll be able to toggle and change. Like right now, I have, this is where the information is really curated for me. I have it set at Bluebonnet grades K through 5. I can change my grade band based upon the grade bands that I teach. And then you'll see some curriculum aligned resources. So always at the top, you'll see curriculum aligned resources that you're going to be able to use. You'll be able to kind of work through those resources and see, hey, I might be able to use these for this particular unit that I have coming up. Next on your homepage, you'll see your curriculum packs, and those are all of the resources that you all have access to. That's the science tech book, which is applicable for more so for upper grades, the middle school and high school grades, as well as the social studies textbook, then the elementary science, which is great for the elementary level, coding, mystery science, and then the Career Connect, which is another great resource to connect students to basically with what I'm learning, how does it connect to the real world? Activities for you based upon what you teach, based upon state standards, then timely and relevant. So different channels. And channels house different resources that you can use. So for summer learning, we just came from summer vacation, basically some resources that you can use to share with students and parents. Learning at home, other resources that you can share to support when you have your back to school night. So there are different types of channels. Then videos that you might be able to use. Notice it says videos for you. So basically that fall within, if you're an ELA teacher, if you're a science teacher, mathematics teacher, basically whatever you put in your schedule for what you teach. Then the news stories. Another thing that I like about our homepage is no matter what the age range, there are news stories. So I always like to have students really connect to the real world. These are news stories basically on, and you can go through and you can click on it and you can basically narrow it down by grade level. So basically it's not going to be anything that's too much for your students, but right on their grade level to keep them up to date with current events. The other thing to know is there are educator supports. So as I shared with you, the channels, they're like right now you see featured the English Language Learner Center channel, which provides a whole lot of different resources that you can use, professional learning channel, which after our session, if you have any questions, there are asynchronous learning opportunities for you to kind of get a quick summary. And then the Spotlight on Strategy channel, which we're going to talk about in a few as well. And then other DE Original highlights. So they might be featuring a few new resources, as well as anything that you recently viewed in your channels. So this is your homepage. And so you can take any channels on or take any channels off. So one thing that I'm going to do for the sake of time before I have you kind of click around a little bit is I'm going to feature really quickly one of our channels. So one of the things that I shared with you was anytime that you have, let's say after the time that we have together, you want to go back and you want to check in on something. So this is a Professional Learning Now channel. If I click on the Professional Learning Now channel, what it will do is it'll take me basically to all of the courses. It says Teaching and Learning, English Language Learner, Health and Wellness, Primary Learning, and Cohort Connect. These are for you as the teacher. So maybe you want a little bit of more information on moving forward. So moving forward with Discovery Education. It's a quick investigation that gives you quick tips. And you can use, like, let's say if you're at home and you're trying to plan for the next day and you need some quick tips, synchronous or asynchronous learning, choosing which resources that you want to use. These are all resources that you can refer back to. You don't need me, but it's a good resource to have. I like to click around and play with things. There's nothing in here that you can break, but one of the things to note is you see this little bookmark here. This shows that this channel is bookmarked on my homepage. If I want to take it off of my homepage, I can just deselect it and it won't be bookmarked on my page anymore. I'm going to go back really quickly and I'm going to highlight and click on a resource really quickly. So one of the things that I did want to highlight is before I have you all kind of click a little bit is, let's say if I'm starting off the year and I've already was looking like for resources for the 5 senses. My students are first graders. They're going to be talking about the 5 senses. I can put 5 senses in. And when I put 5 senses in, I'll get a search. And this is just in my search bar. A few things to note when I do a search, there are filters. I can filter in several ways by product. So you guys can filter by the D experience, which we're in, mystery science, science elementary, the science tech book, all of the resources that you guys have access to. You can change language, publishers, copyright, Lexile level if you're thinking about the reading levels, and then you can filter down even further. So maybe you're looking for lessons to use right away, activities, videos, and then when you see more, you'll see channels, images, text, and audio. So a few things to note at the top. They're always going to feature ready-to-use lesson resources. So these are slideshows that are made in what we call our resource, one of our board resources, where you can make your own interactive resources. However, excuse me, and this is Studio. However, these are ones that you can already use. So right now, notice this one says Fix It, 5 senses, K through 2. Then it has a quiz that you can use. These are some ready-to-use activities that are featured at the top. Then as you go in, you'll notice that there are, it's broken down by like 180 results for the 5 senses, 10 lessons, 3 activities, 92 videos, 3 channels, and more. As you go in, you can filter down. Maybe you're just looking at lessons. You can click lessons. Maybe you just want to look for videos. You can click videos. And maybe you just want to hone in on K through 2. You can click K through 2 and it'll just give you those K2 through 2 lessons. Let's say if I wanted to go in and I want to take a look at this video. There are a few things to note first. Notice it shows us that it's closed captioned. It's pre-K. You can use it for pre-K to 2 or grades 3 through 5. This heart, let's say if I don't have time to look at it, I can click on the heart and it'll take me right, it'll add it right now to my quick list, which you see right here. My heart has changed to 1. Or when I go into it, I'm going to click on it because I want to see a little bit about this particular resource, which is a video. I click on it and it'll give me more information. So this is a video. It does not have to be a video that you use. It'll give me the video. It'll have it in segments. It'll have the transcripts available. It'll have the curriculum standards that are connected to this particular video. But then what you'll also see is other activities. So more resources like this that you can use. Notice that I see that there's a 5 senses channel. Maybe I want to use this 5 senses channel. So I can look at the 5 senses channel. Let's say if I want to save this, and while your quick list is a place where you can quickly get back to something, let's say if you want to save this to your My Content. If I click Save to My Content, you can create folders in your My Content. I created a human body folder. So I'm going to put this there, and I'm going to add this particular resource there so I can come back to it. The other thing to note, let's say I see this channel. I want to click on this channel and I actually want to just add it to my favorites because after I look at this resource, I want to actually go and see if I want to keep this channel. This is a quick way to find resources, save resources to your My Content to come back to use the resource. And if you want to just come back to see if it's a viable resource that you want to use. Another thing to note is you can assign resources and you can share resources via link as well. This particular resource, like I shared with you, is a video, but you'll find even though you click on the video, there might be other resources outside of that. This is a quiz that you can basically click on, turnkey for your students. This is a slideshow, which is basically a lesson already created that you can use. And then they have other videos that you can use. So there are a plethora of resources besides just videos. There are lessons, there are reading passages, and other items. What I'd like you to do, because I know I've talked a whole lot and shared a whole lot just about the resources, I'd like you to think about one area that you're going to be getting started with at the beginning of the school year. And I want you in your search bar to put that into the search bar and search for the different resources. I'm gonna give us about 2 to 3 minutes just to do a search. What I'd like you to do is click on the heart to save it to your quick list. And then also what you can do is you can add it to your My Content as well. And I'm going to show you how to find those resources in your My Content. So take about 3 minutes and just play around with the search bar. click around also on your home page. And I want us, when we come back, just to kind of share some of the things that we found, and share some of our takeaways and some of our questions. And please feel free to come off mute if you have any questions, or feel free to drop your question into the chat.
I have a question. Does it give you something to type, or is it just answer choices on where you click assign, or is it just reading or just videos?
So there are different resources. So what you'll notice is, and I didn't, let me see, I'm still sharing my screen. So if I click, uh, so it just depends on what you want. So like, let's say if I did put, I'm going to put human body in, and there it is, it pops up. So depending on whatever resources you want. So there are like the ones that are like the ready to use lessons, they'll have resources that are already created. So like if I click on this studio quiz about the human body, it'll basically be resources or a studio quiz that I can use with my students. I can edit it, I can assign it to the students. But let's say I'm not looking for a video. Let's say I'm looking for just activities. I can click on activities, and here's a board, Health and Human Services, and this is basically a career quest. I can click on this, so I'm going to click on this career quest board. So it just varies. If you want something that is a video, you can just look for a video. If you want something that's just a reading passage, you can look for a reading passage. But if you want something that's like a lesson that you can use right away, this one is on wellness. This is basically through our career section. And basically, notice it gives teacher notes. It'll give a full out lesson plan. It'll tell you about how it works. It'll give you the pages of the resources that are on the board. It'll give you other resources that you can use as well to go along with it. So another thing to note from this view, let's say if you wanted to use it and you wanted to, after you went ahead and you did your planning, you wanted to present it to the class, you can actually go ahead and present it to the class as described in the lesson plan, but it just depends on what type of resource that you're looking for.
Nice, thank you.
You're welcome. Take about one more minute. And I'm going to show you all a few other resources that are great starters. All right. So, what I'd like us to do before we dive back in and I share a few additional things with you, I'd like for us to use our pin-it strategy. So, I know one person did have a question. And if there are any questions, I'm going to take maybe 2 or 3 questions right now, but we're going to have more time. But I'd like us, and you can use the chat or you can come off mute. One new idea about DE that you found out that you didn't know already, and then one new fact that you learned. So one new idea that you found about how to use DE, and then one new fact that you learned. And you can drop those in the chat before we move on. Thank you. One new thing, something new that you learned, that you saw, that you liked, and it could be anything. Maybe you did a search and you didn't know you could do a search and find as many resources. Choosing the Lexile levels, yes. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, that you can quickly heart thing. Yes. Great. And we're going to be actually going into that. I'm going to, good. That's a favorite thing. So I love that because we know a lot of times when we're planning and planning mode, we're looking at so many different things, but we might not want to commit to just that particular thing, but you want to come back to it. I love that you can heart things as well. I'm going to connect this when I get ready to go back live to Psych to your My Content. My content, I like to say, is like and I'm sharing my age by saying this, it's like my file cabinet where I'm keeping things. So if you're thinking about a traditional file cabinet that you have in your classroom, this is like your digital file cabinet. So like outside of harding things, you can actually organize it and be able to come back to those particular resources. So really quickly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take us back in, and thank you all that shared for sharing. I'm going to take us back in really quickly, and I'm going to share a few additional things with you to help guide us a little bit more through um, the site. So this particular right now, I'm going to have us to take a look. So someone just said you can heart things. So this is your favorites. So I like to call it, we used to call it your quick list. So basically you're always able to go back to those resources really quickly and look at those resources. So if I click on the little dog, you'll notice in my demo, I have a channel that I've saved in the video segment that I can get to really quick. However, let's say it's a resource that I'm definitely going to use. I'm going to use it. Let's say next week we're starting to learn about the 5 senses, and it's a resource that I definitely want to use. If I click on my little waffle or my hamburger, some people like to call it a hamburger. If I go down to where it says my content, which is literally right under my DE, my content is literally your library or your file cabinet. So notice right now it says my content. In my content, I can create folders. So if I click on add new, maybe I want to name my folder. I might say I already have one for the human body. Maybe I might name this folder matter because I'm going to be looking for some resources on matter. Oops. So I'll click, and I being too fast. So I might call it matter. And then I click add. I can add any folders, and what will happen is I'll be able to save things in that folder. So under my human body folder, for example, I have building a body, I have real world phenomena. So I have an interactive, I have a full video, and then I have just a video segment. So basically what I was able to do was things that I knew I definitely wanted, I was able to put that into my content, and I can come back to this at any time. One thing to note, you are the only person that can see your my content. There is a school content. Let's say if you wanted to share across grade levels, hey, here's a folder that I created. You can actually go back into your my content. Notice that it says actions, and you can make a copy of it. And when you copy it, you can actually copy it to your school content folder. And then there's a district content folder. That folder is just for the district if the district wants to share out any resources that maybe aligned to your curriculum with you all, they can share on that end as well. What I am going to do is outside of my content, I'm going to take us back to the home page, and I'm going to share a few additional items with you to take a look at. So we were talking about using the strategy Pin It. And with Pin It, if you're in your classroom, you can use Pin It on digitally if you're using a Padlet, or you can use it on a studio board, or you can just use old-fashioned poster board paper or big chart paper and Post-it notes. So when it comes to your lessons, you might say, hey, as we're going through, I want you to write down any questions that you have as we're going through this. Let's say they're going through a project. When it comes to, new things that they learned, you can get another color Post-it note and have put new things that they've learned on another area of the room, or either on the chart paper. And then for the last one, you might say things that you really learn and you really know, and you can teach your peer about. You can have them put that on another color. There are always variations on how to use the Spotlight on Strategies. I'm not going to go in depth into the Spotlight on Strategies, but what I am going to show you is the Spotlight on Strategy Center. We do have another session that goes more in depth, that's coming up next. But everybody, no matter where you are, you have your Spotlight on Strategies Learning Center. So a few things to know as I navigate us to the Spotlight on Strategy Center. One of the things that I did want to know is anytime that you're searching, even though you save in your favorites, and even though you might save some resources in your My Content, one of the things to know also is that any things that you have recently viewed, they're gonna come up on your homepage. I like this because there are times when I'm searching that I might have seen something that I didn't quite add to my favorites, or I didn't quite add to my content. You can always cycle back and you can see some of the resources that you took a look at. The other thing to note, your channels are defaulted. So like, let's say there are channels that you don't want on your homepage. Like, let's say if I don't want, let's see, a lot of these I want. Let's say if you don't want any of these on your homepage, I don't want the social studies. You can click on the ellipsis, or those little 3 little dots in the circle, and notice it said just remove from my channels. It doesn't mean you can't get the social studies back. Basically, it'll remove it. And so therefore, that's no longer there. If you're looking for a social studies channel when you're doing a search again, you can always put it back on the same way you took it off. So the reason why I shared this was because, let's say if you wanted to condense your channels basically to meet the needs of basically just the topics that you're teaching, you can do that as well. So notice the SOS Instructional Strategies channel. That is going to be your SOS hub. So if I click here, or you can put in your search bar SOS Instructional Strategies. One thing to note when it comes to like jump-starting your school year, what am I going to use? So if I'm using videos, if I'm using an interactive lesson, whatever it is that you're going to use, a few things to note is we have an Instructional Strategy Center. So for the Instructional Strategy Center, a few things to note from this particular view. There are always going to be strategies that are going to be able to support you, whether it be digitally or whether it be in the classroom with like more of a hands-on in-person, from a hands-on perspective. So one of the things to note is the 3 buckets that it falls under is active thinking, building knowledge, and applying learning. So it'll show you a featured strategy. This is one of my favorite featured strategies. Then it'll show you some featured resources. So notice under the strategy bundle, it'll show a few different ones. This one is, can you guess the 214? It'll show you the strategy. There's a PDF version. There's a student version of the strategy. But these are strategies that you can use in any content area, whether it's math, science, social studies, English language arts. And it gives you ideas of how you can use the strategy the same way that we're using Pin It. And then we used the strategy earlier when we were talking about guess your level. We used an image to use that strategy. To use that strategy. This is your strategy center. What I'm going to have you to do is I want you to continue your search. I want you to maybe find a strategy that you like that you want to use. I want you to either add it to your favorites, or I want you to add it to your My Content. So go ahead and click around in the strategy section. We're not going to spend as much time, but I just want you to kind of get acclimated with, like if I click on this particular strategy bundle, what is a part of the strategy bundle? What is a part of the strategy page? I just want you to kind of get acclimated with the strategy portion. And if there are any questions, I'm going to give us about 3 to 4 minutes. And I know I'm giving us just pockets of time. However, we'll have a little chunk of time, maybe 5 minutes, to kind of gather a few more resources that we'll be able to use right away. I clicked on the particular strategy just to show you the PDF version. This, of course, is for us to kind of give us the big idea, steps to use the strategy, extensions. But you'll also notice associated with the resource, there's a full video, there's an activity template that you can use, and then there are other resources that you can use. And then there are studio videos that you can use for some of the strategies as well. So go ahead and take about 3 or 4 minutes, take a look at the strategies to see if there are any strategies that you might want to use. And if you have any questions, feel free to come off mute or drop your questions in the chat. Yes, someone said that they like the teacher's notes area. Yes. Take about 1 more minute. All right. So I'm going to bring us back together and highlight a few last things before I give us a chunk of time, a little more of a time to do more of a search. So a few other things that I did want to share, and it has to do with just what's on your homepage. So one of the things to note is you're going to always find curriculum aligned resources. So like I said before, there are a plethora of different resources that you'll find. You'll find video segments. This is a studio quiz, figurative language for 7th grade. This is an exploration. Feel free to click on any of these resources. I know it sometimes seems like a lot, but click on the resources, see what they have to offer. This one is for 7th grade, and it basically tells us the descriptions. Students learn about figurative language, and they create a story about elephants that includes the use of personifications. The other things you'll notice is it's slides. You can go in, you can take a look at the slides. You can take a look at any of the teacher's notes. As someone said in the chat, when you're going through the teacher's notes, it'll be able to give you a little more information on that particular resource. It'll give you details on each of the slides. And then the other thing to note is, I want to say, as you go through, know that there is nothing in here that you can break. I was working with a group in Florida on Tuesday, and I was kept prefacing, you're not going to break anything. Click on everything, touch everything, get yourself acclimated, and try all of the resources, because what you'll find is you'll find resources that once you use them more and more, like, oh, this is easy for me to use. We're studying the human body, we're studying figurative language. Here are some resources that I can infuse that are digital resources to help bring my lesson to that next level and get my students really engaged and connected. Notice it has present to your class. You're able to present to the class. The other thing to note is one of the ways, and this is just one of the things that I want to share, that another tool that Discovery has is there's an immersive reader. The immersive reader is super helpful when it comes to having students that are, on different reading levels. It keeps them in a place where they can kind of connect, and they can go in and they can feel comfortable with, if it's some of the resources that they're exploring on their own. You can assign. One positive is if you click on assign, it'll take you to an area where it'll say assign to your students. So it'll say choose how you assign. If you want to assign to them directly through a Discovery, you can click there and it'll drop it into their Discovery accounts. Or you can assign with the assignments with a link. When you click on assign with a link, it'll ask you to click on a day that you want to assign it, and then it'll generate a link for you to be able to use. So if I click on the 19th, I'm selecting that day. I can click on generate a link. I'll be able to copy that link. And there's always a tutorial. So let's say, hey, I don't remember exactly what Janine said. There is a little tutorial, and there are little tips and tricks for assigning, whether you're dropping it in, if you're using Google Classrooms, if you're using Microsoft, however you want to assign the link, you can be able to assign that link and share these share the link and these resources with your students. And that's for any resource. I like the fact that the resources can be used, whether it be just, digitally, or you can use the resources just in your classroom as a whole class to present. The last thing that I'm going to share with you all, as I have you guys kind of go in to explore, please remember that there are always going to be new resources based upon the needs of teachers. And please note that this is like a great one-stop shop when it comes to being able to finding standard aligned resources that you can use on all grade levels. And it's always good to note that the SOS strategies can be used, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person in the classroom. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing my Discovery site. I'm going to just toggle really quickly back to the my PowerPoint. And what I want you to do right now is just to explore. So I want you to continue to review and personalize your homepage if you'd like to do that. I want you to save items to your My Content. Think about this very first week of school, the second week of school, the first month, what you're going to be teaching. Find some things to add to your My Content or your My Favorites. I'm not quite sure if you guys have your student rosters in, but you're able to, you'll be able to assign once your student rosters are in. So if you want to go in and kind of play around with that, you can do that. The other thing to know is I want you to choose some SOS strategies that you might be comfortable to use with your students so you can kind of organize them. And it doesn't just mean you can use them. I'm just going to use it this one time. Once the students get used to the SOS strategy, they might get excited, and you can use it for any resource to check for understanding. Students can use resources in small groups, but just thinking about some SOS strategies that you like, and then look at some of the ready to use teacher activities. Take about 5 minutes to do that. And if you have any questions as you're doing that, like I said, please feel free to come off mute. And as you are working, we have a few more minutes left. Please note in the Padlet that this is session one. This is the things to jumpstart using DE. Please remember that we have what we call our teacher resource guide. It'll give you some quick little tutorials, and what I'll do is after our 3 minutes is up, I'll just briefly share it before we hop into the next session. I know the next session starts at 10:30, but I'll just share that quick resource with you. All right. I want us to take one more minute to explore. And what I'd like to do is after we come back for our exploration, I want us to think about um, basically one new idea or one new fact about DE that I guess stood out from you or you want to use right away. Just you can drop it in. If you're ready already, you can drop it in the chat. Can you see what the student version looks like? So I don't have on my end right now the capabilities because I'm in a demo. But you're able to go in from your side. So when you assign to students, you'll be able to, they're going to see what you assign to them, but you'll be able to see their accounts. So there is a way for you to impersonate your students to see their accounts, and their accounts look basically a student version of your account. But you're able to do that from your, let me see if with the demo account, if it'll allow me to do that.
Yeah, it's just that sometimes they struggle not finding, or they tell us, you know what, I can't see it. So that was my question. If there's a way that we could go in there or kind of mimic, or just to see what they're seeing on their side.
So there is, since you are the teacher, there is a way, let me go into my classrooms. There is a way to do that. I'm going to see if it'll allow me to do it. I did try to create a student on the demo. Let me see something. So when you go in, let me look at my students. And this is basically, of course, once you have students. So when you have students, let me see if it still gives, what it'll give me so what it'll tell you is it'll say something like impersonate your student. And you can see, let me see. Okay, it'll say sign in as student. So when you sign in as student, and I'll share this with you. Hold on one second. So, and that's ooh, please don't sign me out for the sake of time. That is a great question. Okay. All right. So, really quickly, when you go in, when you have students, and I'll go back to this tab. So, share tab, and I'm really quickly, can you see my Discovery account? So, when you go into your classroom, a few things to note is you're able to go into your classrooms. Once you go into your classrooms, and sorry if I'm going a little quick, when you do have students in, once you click on your class, like this is my demo class, what you'll note is from this particular view, where's my students? So there's my students. I have, it says demo student. From here, if I click on the three little dots, that'll give me the ability to, it'll say sign in as student. So when you sign in as the student, you can see exactly what the student sees in your student account. You just want to make sure when you're coming out of it, because it can be a loop, you go back up to the little dog and you quit impersonation after you come out to get out of the student's account. Okay. Are there any questions? Does anybody want to share their last takeaway in our last minute that we have together? Is there a strategy you're taking away?